We know what happened on J6. We know who opened the 20,000-pound magnetic doors. We know about the setup. We know about the proof that Trump requested extra troops to be there. We know about the whole thing. The truth will prevail. So I'm not as upset as I am infuriated that this is serious, and we are in the throes of losing our country.
I do not share that. I share a lot of what you said, but I don't share that. I'm not upset. I'm furious about it because, in a way, I'm furious because of how weak it is, but yet still brought because they don't care. Jack Smith is doing Jack Smith things, which is to come up with novel legal theories, to then stretch them to the nth degree, hoping it doesn't break, and knowing that he is playing to a D.C. judge with a D.C. jury, that a Republican's going to get 5% of the vote, the Democrat's going to get 95% of the vote in this area of the country, and he's playing to the media. That speech he gave today when he came out was, as Andy McCarthy rightly called out, as Jonathan Turley rightly called out, was a joke. Because he spent more than 2/3 of the time talking about things that aren't even in the indictment, that he didn't even charge him with. Listening to him, as I think it was Andy McCarthy said, you would have thought Trump perpetrated the riots, that he went in first and said, everybody come on, by listening to him. But he's playing to the jury. He's playing to the judge. And most of all, he's playing to our detestable media.
And he won't get a fair jury.
No, he will not. No. And it doesn't seem like, if I'm even trying to be remotely fair, since I don't know the judge, other than she was appointed by Obama. Strike one. Other than she's given every January 6th defendant that's come in front of her more jail time than the government's even requested. Strike two. So, not good. Not good. This is why they're so brazen, though. This is why when you read this, you go, wait a second. This reads like a rehash of basically all of the things that happened in the election all over the country in 2020. So now you're not allowed to have an opinion, according to Jack Smith? He's got 6 co-conspirators in this charge. Now, we don't know who they are yet, but let's assume Rudy Giuliani's 1, Sidney Powell's probably 2, John Eastman's probably 3, and I don't know who the last 3 are. But now attorneys who gave advice, doesn't matter whether you thought the advice was good or whether you thought it was horrendous. From what I can tell, and I'm not an attorney, granted, but you have attorneys that are now indicted for giving advice, whether it's good or bad. Whether it's good or bad. Go ahead.
I think they made a mistake. I think the overreach is clear. And I think they made a fatal mistake today, the Dems. So I'm upset.
I'm interested in what way when you say that. In what way? Because what I see is their hitman prosecutor.
Yeah.
Stretching the truth, criminalizing speech, criminalizing things that should not be criminalized because he knows he's in D.C. with a D.C. judge, with a D.C. jury.
Let him convict Trump. Let him do it because the country will not stand for it.
Well,
bring it on. I say bring it on.
This judge will stand for it. And I don't have any, I have no hope in the appellate system in D.C.
I agree
The only
with you.
thing standing is the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And you can cue 3, 2, 1, the Democrats attacking the makeup of the Supreme Court probably, right now. Because they know that damn well, too. That's where this is heading. Even though it shouldn't. This shouldn't see the light of day in any court looking at this. Criminalizing his thoughts. Jack Smith and his team present themselves as mind readers.
Yep.
What's the one thing you could say about President Trump through this whole 2020 thing? Is there anybody who has listened to this man, whether you agree with it or not, because there's certainly things I have not agreed with, but is there any way that you could say you've listened to him since 2020 and don't think that he won the election? That he hasn't believed what he said? That he hasn't believed what he thought happened that night? Has anyone ever made that argument? That's what they're making. Because in this, you see, Bubba, he said ABC, which he knew what wasn't true. So they're mind readers. They knew exactly what he was thinking in his mind. even though he was saying things that they say weren't true. I guess that's criminal now. To have an opinion, to take bad advice or good advice from John Eastman is criminal now. Even if it's proven that it was bad advice. So what? He called all these places. He called all around the country. He called down to these places in Georgia. So what? Why is the sitting president at the time, who just supposedly lost the election, not allowed to call around to people and
question the
election and question what he thinks needs to be done and question where they might have votes to be found? That's criminalized now? No. But that's what they've done. They've criminalized speech. If you, as I think it was Turley who said, if you redline out all the First Amendment issues with this, there's not a whole lot left in this indictment. There's not a whole lot left.